Okay. Oh, hello. Look, it says go live, but it's like a black banner straight across the middle of my face. It just makes me laugh. Hello, everybody. I can see everybody joining in from all over the place. I love this bit. I say this every time I do Tea with the Druid. There's loads and loads of you all joining in. Oh, just from all over the world. Just incredible. Somebody called Animistic Druidry. Hey. Just always I'm always so fascinated that I forget to actually talk to you guys because I'm just watching you all come in from everywhere. California, Iowa, Norway, France, just all over the US, Wiltshire, Missouri, just Essex, Alberta. Fabulous. It's so lovely to see so many people coming back time after time. And you come to sit and listen to me waffle, you poor things. I always have like a script of different things, but I always get distracted because I see some fantastic questions in the thing. Oh, Zell, hello. There's Hardcore Hazel from Barkham, which is one of our good friends. Just so lovely. Welcome, everybody to Tea with a Druid. Yes, it's me waffling away again. Sitting in for Philip, who is doing funky stuff. Oh, hello, I love White, Essex, Washington. It's just too many of you to say hello to. Basically, I got really excited listening to everybody last week when Dave and I were here chuntering on about animism and our kind of our core sort of belief. Somebody said being distracted seems Julia says being distracted seems to be a family trait. Definitely. Look, they've just done it again. Squirrel like this. But I really, really enjoyed chatting to people about their experiences. There's the biscuit bit after, so it's tea here and biscuits over on the Obod hearth, and it was really fascinating to listen to people's stories about how they felt from like childhood and how that probably influenced them finding druidry and stuff. And I was thinking maybe it's time to chatter on a bit more about the emotional journey and the spiritual journey that people take to find druidry and to find this sense of a lot of people last time were talking about that sense of homecoming. And it's something over the years I have heard so many times and have felt myself so strongly. So in a kind of narcissistic way, I thought I'd sort of talk about my journey a bit, which some of you may have heard, some of you might not, and see how similar that is to other people. And I'm going to try and keep I'm just waving at people I know on there because they say hi, and just see how many people in the comments come back with similar sort of comments or have a similar thread through, because it amazes me that this incredible thing that we call druidry, which is like we've always said, you get 50 druids in a room and you'll get 450 different versions of what druidry is. And yet there's something so profoundly similar in what we all believe druidry is. So yeah, there's often a bit of a delay in the comments, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep scanning over and trying to catch people's comments if you type in, but they whiz up and that. But yeah, so I was going to natter on a bit and just tell you a bit about my journey and see how it rings with your journey. Um, so, everybody's still coming in. This is just amazing everywhere. Similarities, love of nature, absolutely. Yeah, I think that is a fundamental, and I think that's kind of where as I was going to start in that sense, in carrying on the animism thing, because I think what eventually drew me to the banner of druidry, and there may be a lot of people on here who are maybe druid curious, haven't actually kind of done any formal kind of commitment to any path of any kind of druidry, and maybe this will kind of help people who haven't kind of decided what druidry even is to them or why they feel attracted to it. So yeah, so I'm going to witter on a bit. Not, what is that? Not cold. Oh, I am a bit dyslexic. So I just read that in. I got a name and then I got very distracted. See, I'm distracted already. Well, hello, Netherlands. So yeah, right. I'm going to stop waffling now and I'm going to focus while everybody's still coming in. I love it. Yeah, so somebody else said from an early age that sense of connection to more than the human world. I try to avoid calling it nature because we are nature. And I think that's what I've always felt. And I think a lot of people, like Graham Harvey, who's phenomenal man. I love listening to him talk. He's just such. If you haven't read or listened to any of his lectures, thoroughly recommend them. They're absolutely amazing. And he talks about animism and so much better than I can because he's a proper professor. But he talks about not using the word nature because nature is what we are. This is all nature, and we are not dissociated from it. And I think for many of us who find this path, that is a fundamental core principle that we have always known since we were children. I mean, personally, I found from a really early age that my understanding of the world was far clearer when I was interacting with animals and with plants and with my environment, far more profound than when I tried to interact with humans. And although I love interacting with humans now, for a very, very long time, I really didn't understand the language of humans. I didn't communicate well. I wasn't very good at social interaction. I was just awkward and weird. And yet when I was with animals or when I was with the plants or when I was just walking in the woods or by the sea, I was at home. It was like home to me, and I understood the language of the waves. Not in some kind of weird kind of, flouncy way, but I understood how the waves interacted with the shore and how the shore was changed and how it sang when the waves interacted with it. And I loved that song of interaction. And I grew up in a household. We always had animals and various different times, various different kinds of animals. Often, I mean, there was never less than possibly about 5 animals of various different kinds in our house. Some were being rescued, some were just family pets. And I had profound relationships with those creatures and felt like they understood me, picked up on my feelings when maybe the humans around me didn't. Um, and I could be completely me with them, and they loved me and I loved them. There was a language beyond beyond words, and it was a language of love, trust, and respect, which like I say, I didn't really find in the human world. And so from a very early age, I understood that there were more languages in the world. There were more understandings and just more connections to be had than the complicated ones that humans made for themselves. Um, yeah, I think children have a beautiful understanding of the life force. I absolutely agree with that. I think, and children are so much freer um, to express that. They're not. They haven't yet been kind of um, closed down. Like Dave said last week, that his teachers told his parents that his imagination should be curbed. I mean, what kind of just um, but it's like the more I tried to understand the human realm, the less I understood it, and I was kind of always felt on the outside of it, and I've heard that from a lot of other people, um, where they kind of felt like they were on the outside looking in a lot of the time because stuff just didn't make sense. Um, and everything just always seemed to be so human oriented. And I was when I was very young, I was brought up as Jehovah's Witness for a time. That was interesting, and all of the kind of interactions I had with religions always seemed very one-sided to me. That idea of dominance over, and that everything was there for us to use as we chose. Never got on with that at all. Yeah. Oh yes, yeah. Down at the bottom, Hern. Yeah. Oh yes. Don't be a daydreamer. But apparently, I used to be inattentive at school, and they asked my mother if I was deaf, and she said she's not deaf, she's daydreaming. Sit her at the front of the class. I think that tells you everything you need to know about me. But it's I've totally gone off on my tangent now. But yeah, everything human oriented, and I've never lost that sense of it's not all about us. Yeah, nature doesn't threaten punishment, just teaches. I totally agree with that. Um, so I think as I started there, I started to look at human beings. I tried to understand how they acted and why they didn't respond to animals maybe in the way they should. Some people just didn't even have animals, and that I was completely bewildered by that. The fact that they just, and neighbours, scorched earth policy, no plants growing, things like plastic grass. I mean, I just don't even understand that. But that's another things. But in order to understand that stuff, I tried really hard to understand religion, to understand the stories that came from it, the myths that came from it. I think I tried to learn. I became fascinated with, as I got older and older with my, ideas. I started to look at anthropology, sociology, and um, languages, and and global stories, global fairy tales, global myths, and all of those things. And it became obvious to me that all of those stories were about trying to understand the world that they lived in and to make sense of it and to bring it into a concept that you could feel comfortable with, which is why everything got a human face put on it. And I was never entirely comfortable with that. I've never kind of felt that things should be constrained in that way. Um, and I yeah, this is such a kind of powerful thing for me. I kind of didn't understand why people couldn't see broader than just a human view, why they couldn't see the world through an animal's eyes or through a blade of grass's eyes or through the ocean's eyes. And I think my drive towards I started to read things like Lord of the Rings and William Blake and all of the sort of mystical things. And then I started to find a language that felt more understandable to me because they were looking with a mystic's view rather than just a straight practical human view about how you could use that thing for the benefit of yourself alone. Um, and I found that actually because most people were just trying to understand the world they lived in, they didn't really put that much effort in. And I longed for somebody like William Blake, or I cried my eyes out when I read Lord of the Rings and the elves were leaving and things, and it felt like they understood that something profound was leaving the earth. And to me it was like, yeah, it's I felt that like the elves leaving the earth was like we were losing something so profound within ourselves, that connection. um and that's what I was looking for, that's what I was seeking all the time. All the time I was trying to learn things, and all the time I was trying to things, and eventually I found it through kind of going through a bit of the tail end of the new age stuff, where I learned to meditate. And lots of things about that were brilliant because I learned to meditate. I learned to, lots of kind of Eastern philosophy, which mm, kind of like the Western twist on Eastern philosophy, which never really quite worked for me either. It's all far too much kind of up here and not enough in here, and in touch with the earth. Um, I keep getting society values success with strong, yeah, just so many different things. Um, and eventually people started coming into my life that were pagan. And I'd never heard that word before either. I mean, I know it's an umbrella term for lots of people coming in, but it was like very slowly through art and through looking at the languages of dance and of song and of expressing yourself through something creative. I started to find people who kind of understood and then had links to other people who had a different path. And it was like, I'm slowly starting to understand why I felt so odd. And then I picked up, I don't know if anybody else has found it, but there was a set of animal cards by somebody called Jamie Sams, which I mean, I think they're ubiquitous. I think they're everywhere. But I was reading the book that came with that, and it was talking about Native American stuff. And in particular, the thing that stays with me more than anything else was they were talking about honor shields and and this sense of connection to your ancestors, connection to your traditions, and connection to the magic of connection to the entire world, and the brothers and sisters of brother bear, brother raven, or sister tree, or when you start talking in that language, and it was like my ears went ooh. And that's what I felt we'd missed in there. And I suddenly realized that that's what I'd missed all my life growing up. It was the language I was finding. I had those cards. They are lovely. I've still got some downstairs. I love them. But I went looking for those cards because I'd felt a connection. And when I went to this place, fantastic old, I mean, this is back in the early 90s. There was this fabulous shop called Merlin's Cave. and in there I was looking for this pack of cards, and I had a particular price in my head, and this bloke said, I don't I I don't have those. And he said they're 20, they were £27. That was a lot of money back then. He said, however, I do have this pack of cards, and it is about native stuff. And I went, what? and it was the Druid Animal Oracle, Quelle Surprise, by Philip and Stephanie Cargon. And he said, I think you should look at this. And it was exactly the price I'd had in my head. And I was like, I don't believe in coincidences. What cards are being discussed? Oh, Jamie Sam's animal cards were the cards being discussed earlier. And in that, I found almost everything I'd been looking for, in that sense of, there is our own folklore, our own stories. Somebody has kind of collated that stuff together and actually put it into a space where it's available for people. And I suddenly went, that's the kind of thing I need. And it was like a tumble thing from finding those cards. So it was like, I will always be grateful to Jamie Sams, with the Native American stuff that sparked a spark in my heart and went, this stuff is out there. For me, finding the Druid Animal Oracle, and in the way of things, I ended up at a pagan moot. And my first one ever. And I was like, I need someone to teach me about stuff. And I was sat next to this fabulous witch who was an amazing lady. Some of you, if you know me, you might have heard this story. But I said to her, she said, what are you doing? What are you looking for? And I said, I don't know. I just feel like I need something that ties things together. And she said, well, what do you think about? She said, do you think about moon and stars or stones and trees? And I thought moons and stars, and I said stones and trees. And I'll never forget that. She went, oh, you need to talk to him over there. And that's how I met Dave. And he started, she went and called him over and basically said, you need to talk to her about this stuff. And Dave and he talked to me about Obod and things. And I was like, okay, this all sounds amazing. And he said, well, I go to Philip and Stephanie's grove. I'll see if it's okay if you can come along. So I ended up having bought the animal cards maybe a month before at an autumn equinox in 1997 with Philip and Stephanie, and a whole raft of people who were talking poetry, playing music, talking about stuff so deep, enacting the Cerridwen story around a fire. With my first ritual, they enacted the Cerridwen story, which has been one of my fundamental kind of guides through all of this stuff. And it was like, all of a sudden, I understood the language. I understood the connection. I understood what all of that mythology and the story and all of my journey had been about. It was about bringing me home. And that was the relationship back to that the last week when people were saying it was a homecoming. That's how I found my tribe, man. Just and it's been fantastic ever since. And I think this is what it is. It's about finding, yes, synchronicity. It's about finding the people who speak your language, make you feel at home, and make you feel right as a human being. I mean, it was a long old journey. I mean, poor Steph that evening got completely pestered, where she had to literally almost put her hand on my forehead and go, "Could you just wait a minute?" Because I was so enthusiastic. I was like, "Sign me up for this," because it's obviously where I need to be. It's where I've been ever since. um, so finding your tribe, and finding that tribe is connected to multiple tribes, not just human. They speak a broader language. They speak the language of trees. I learned Ogama. I learned, you know, all of these different, ways of seeing the world. It's like, I love this quote from Terry Pratchett. You know, she opened her eyes and then she opened them again. It's one of my most favorite quotes ever, because it's so true. When you find that thing, and it brings you home, and it enfolds you in its arms, it's there's nothing like it. There and I think whatever that is for you, I mean, it might not be druidry, it might be something completely different, but whatever it is, it's that sense of coming home, and being allowed to be you and not be bullied, not be ostracized, not be told that you're bonkers, or, it's just perfect. It's not perfect, because people are people, and, there's always ups and downs, and a thousand different ways of looking at the same thing. However, when you feel home, and it's chosen family, and I've got friends that, I mean, true friends, which I'd never had before, because they just allow me to be me, and they're just like, "Ugh, it's just, she's being who she is, it's fine." So if you are looking for a path, I think ways of understand your own language, and then look for people who and things that resonate with that sense of homecoming is overwhelming and profound. And I think when I had my bardic initiation at a Samhain camp, there was that sense of walking into a circle and just having everyone, nobody knew me, they didn't care. They could see how emotional it was for me, and it was emotional for them, because they were just bringing you in and holding you in their heart, and that's when you know you're home. So, I mean, oh God, I've rattled on. I didn't even really look at my notes. So I hope that there are people out there who are looking, if you're looking for your home and you're wondering what Druidry is about, it's a complicated, fabulous thing. But I think at its heart, it's about connection. It's about opening your eyes to see the bigger picture, and feeling that you are a part of something bigger, more incredible than the narrow view that kind of Western society in particular has kind of tried to force us into. And it's a wonderful journey, and it takes many different paths in many different ways for many different people. However, when you find your little path on that and it joins with other people, then it is amazing. So, with that in mind, let's do a very quick meditation together. I know I'm running over a little bit, but if you are happy, maybe close your eyes and feel yourself, whether you're standing, sitting, however you feel comfortable. And let's just draw in a long, slow breath together. And another long, slow breath. This time, feel the earth beneath you. Feel yourself rooted, held, and nurtured. And draw in a long, slow breath as the earth energy rises up to meet you. And like a tree reaching out above, focus on the sky, that great, beautiful, open firmament above, full of stars, planets, wide, wide idea, inspiration, and feel the breath of life drawn in. A long, slow breath. And turn your attention to the rivers and streams and lakes, to the wider waters that encircle this incredible blue planet floating out in the starry firmament. Feel the tides that ebb and flow within and without. Take a long, slow breath. And in that state of peace, of centered connection with everybody around the world, feel your heart, your hand over your heart. Feel the beat, the rhythm, the power of the heart space. Feel everyone connected here, hearts beating, our hands connected through that rhythm. And feel that rhythm connected to the earth beneath us, in harmony, in communion, at peace with our connection to the land and each other. And know that when we are hand in hand, heart to heart, there is love, there is trust, respect, and acceptance. And if ever we feel lost or lonely, all we have to do is feel our feet on the floor, put our hands over our heart, and feel ourselves in union with each other and the beating heart of this incredible planet. And we'll know peace and comfort, and know that across the world, wherever we might travel, we are all one tribe that connect to the wider worlds. We are nature, and we build worldwide webs together through rhythm and song and love and trust. Hand on heart, heart to heart. Take a long, slow breath together and feel us. Feel the grass, feel the trees, feel the animals, feel the ocean and all life within it, all beating with the same rhythm. And then, with that thought and that feeling, I think I'd better stop this now, as I've run over quite a while. It's made my head dizzy. And thank you all for a wonderful thing. So I'm sorry I didn't see more comments, but if you are coming over to the biscuit part of Tea and Biscuits, that would be lovely to see you on the hearth. And we'll continue with sharing more experiences. So thank you so much, just so much for being together. And this always makes me so happy. I just love seeing all of you connecting with each other. And yeah, it's just a joy. Mwah. Beautiful tribe. Thank you so much. It has been really lovely. And hopefully I'll see you again at some point. I'll see some of you in the biscuits. So thank you very much. I'm going to end the stream now. Not that I want to, actually, but I'll take care of everybody. Thank you all for being here, and I'll speak to you very soon, hopefully. Take care.